welcome back to the Hook the Leg podcast. My name is Chris, but here with me today, the effing king of recovery, back because of the fans. It's Jim Valley. How you going, Jim?
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad myself, and what a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on another one of my podcasts. And one of the great things about these podcasts is not a lot of people see them. So you don't need to think too carefully about what you say. So don't worry about it.
Do it every day.
Excellent.
My cat just walked in. I was like, oh.
We've got a Sherman appearance already.
Well, I think he left.
Oh.
I think.
Probably when he heard about the low viewing figures. He said, well, I'm...
No. Just wanted to see what I was doing. Then he saw there was nothing exciting in here. No food to be had.
Yeah, that's true. Is that why he sabotaged that episode of Wrestling Observer Live that was only 30? I had to say, I thought it was like a work of modern art.
That was me. I was dumb. I did that.
You did a Hogan joke, and then I just thought, and then he just dropped the mic. I said, "This is brilliant."
Here's what happened. I did the show, and then I realized it was going to air, I think, the day before Hogan's birthday. And I was like, well, I probably have to acknowledge that. So I recorded the joke, stuck it in to the longer podcast, but somehow I must have got them confused. And they saved that one and uploaded the little insert to the full segment. So.
It's just, well, we've all done a podcast that's unfortunately become lost media for one reason or another. But just checking, you haven't had any Hulk Hogan beer today, have you? Because I hear that stuff makes you racist.
Oh my goodness gracious. What a fool to say that. I mean, a fool to say what he said anyway, but to then blame it on the product you're selling.
Did you see his Benoit quote from yesterday, I think?
Yeah.
Also, is everyone running around saying, I forgive Chris Benoit for that horrific crime?
Yeah, I'm not aware that anybody is.
No. But damn it, brother.
Yeah.
If they can find it in their hearts to forgive him. Anywho. But yes, I mentioned it just now. Jim, you'll find him on Saturdays presenting Wrestling Observer Live. But Jim, don't you think the wage that you get paid by Figure 4 Weekly is too high and bad for wrestling?
Isn't it? It's awful. It's awful. You know, some people, every now and then they try to make a controversy, try to get me kicked off or something. It's like, oh no, my life would be horrible. You know, I mean, I get fair pay, don't get me wrong, but it's not what I live off of.
Well, when people see how much you're getting paid, you know, it's gonna...
It's good. It's bad for the podcast
Other podcasts are going to expect the kind of money that you get paid. The dump truck of money that Brian Alvarez drives up to your house.
Would you look at what podcasters generally get paid? Yes, I am on the high end, but that's on the high end. Yeah, nothing. So,
one day I'll get that Jim Valley money.
What a ridiculous statement to say that someone making too much money is bad for the industry, especially a talent like Swerve.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they're just kicking themselves for letting him go?
Privately, probably, yes.
Yeah, I would be.
I can't imagine. But I mean, I don't know. He would have been in Hit Row and been like half the tag team. And sometimes tag teams break up and someone works their way up. And other times you're Montez Ford. Mm-hmm. So who knows to say what would have happened with Swerve in WWE if they would have recognized it or even decided he was going to be a singles guy.
Well, they've recognized him now, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know if he's ever going to end up back there, but...
Oh, look, I mean, I know Swerve a little bit from working in Defy, doing backstage interviews and stuff. And Swerve is a great guy. He's a great human being, has a great heart, family guy. He lights up when he talks about his family and his dog.
I don't know if we should talk about
Oh,
Swerve and things being lit up at this time right now.
yeah, he's on fire. Wait, oops.
That closing shot from Dynamite last night was phenomenal.
Brilliant.
I loved it.
I'm wondering, that's got to be up there to have a house, but it appears to be a real house.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the most expensive angles in wrestling history.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on car crashes and other things.
Exploding limos.
It's got to be up there.
Well, Randy Orton,
It's Corvette.
he only burned a small barn. So now WWE,
Right.
they need to up AEW by setting fire to, I don't know, maybe a small country.
But I mean, in wrestling lore, was that barn real, or was it representative of Randy Orton going into his psyche,
Good point.
the Fiend's psyche, and going in and destroying it?
Excellent point.
I don't. But I mean, obviously, it was real as far as they constructed it.
Yeah.
Burned it down.
Yeah, because that was before or after the House of Horrors match.
Right.
Great times.
Where the Fiend was burned to a crisp.
That was when it was a pay-per-view every 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Oh my gosh. And I was watching all of them. My word. I haven't been catching WWE's TV at the moment because I'm not subscribed to any of the networks that it's on in this country. When it's on Netflix, and it's going to be a lot easier, I'm definitely going to catch more. But I always catch the PLEs and have a good time. I'm enjoying things both wrestling companies are putting on at the moment. And that brings us to the topic of today, Jim.
You make a valid point. We'll come back to that.
I know that social media isn't real life, but I do believe that a lot of these people are real, and a lot of people make hating things their entire personality. But you'll see in the profiles fan of wrestling, and they won't watch Dynamite, and they're missing out on some really great stuff. Don't like the wrestling? Come for the wrestling. Stay for the house burning.
Yeah, look, I've seen everything. I've seen every angle, every kidnapping, every thing that's been stolen. Talk about that later. But I like wrestling. I like the athleticism. I like Will Ospreay. I think Kyle Fletcher is great. Okada. But I mean, at the same time, I can appreciate what they're doing with WWE. And like you said, where AEW, because they charge you $50 or whatever it is, $70, whatever it is for the pay-per-view.
Oh I won't tell you what they charge over here. It's a lot cheaper than $50. But then, it's always been a hell of a lot cheaper over here. We used to get a lot of the WWE pay-per-views, WWF pay-per-views, as part of the Sky Sports package. And then when I heard $50, $70 for HD, I couldn't believe it. It's wild.
Well, you guys have a lot more protections from corporations than we do. Healthcare, and for some reason, lack of it here is freedom. Going bankrupt over healthcare is freedom. Anyway, my point is that it's interesting to see WWE taking a completely different angle as far as things tend to be more storyline driven, more MacGuffin driven.
Yeah.
And you get fewer matches, and you get more taped segments. You get more taped promos that tell you all about what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think the biggest difference is is this. You're on your phone. TV's on or screen's on. And you're, oh, look at that. There's this, whatever. WWE makes it so you don't have to look up that much.
I don't even remember what it's like to watch wrestling or most TV programs with only one screen in the room. How did we live like that, Jim?
Cannibals.
Cavemen.
Like pilgrims. Sorry, you're British.
That's fine.
Anyway, but I mean, with AEW, they tend to not give you those recaps as much, and you've got to watch the matches and things like that. And look, maybe it's because AEW is less organized.
Take All In, for example. They were great short little packages if needed, which they certainly. I love wrestling too, and I think you can call out in a respectful way things that both companies could improve on. And AEW's promo packages haven't come close to touching what the WWE has done for 20 plus years. But speaking of being MacGuffin focused, apparently that was a fake bracelet that was fed to CM Punk this week.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I was hoping that... I didn't know it was made by a fan, though. It was made by a fan, and she gave it to him at a convention. I'm not sure if they mentioned that on television, but I think that helps
it was
a lot.
It was SummerSlam weekend.
Sure.
And that's how they retconned it into feud. But my point is that with AEW, you have to watch it more. And whether it's because, like I said, by design, maybe they're more disorganized. But so when I say you have to watch it more, I'm not saying you have to be high-minded and have to pay attention. It's wrestling. And with WWE, with the video packages, it can be the worst feud with worst match ever. And the packages are like movie trailers.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to make it seem like the greatest thing ever. And it reinforces that. It reinforces the positive. People forget any negative if there is any. And I think that's kind of a key difference with AEW and WWE is WWE is aware more of that second screen.
Oh, yeah. Well, they used to do that second screen experience during the advert breaks. That was quite exciting, about 10 years ago now. I didn't think it was that long ago, but I think it was around 10 years ago now. But yes, me and my friend, when we picked up the WrestleMania 14 VHS, and that's when we realized, wow, these promo packages are sometimes better than the matches that follow. And they just do it so well.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how many good matches were WrestleMania 14?
Well, because I don't mind a bit of silliness in wrestling, I loved the Kane and Undertaker throwing lightning bolts at each other in the promo package, and the following match was pretty good. Pretty good.
Right.
Back when we all liked Kane. I mean,
I don't remember that match being good, but
I don't know.
There's a lot of people, I believe, who at some point Donald Trump will be out of the political realm.
Fingers crossed.
And I think a lot of people are jockeying for his audience, for his voters.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Mayor Kane is one of those people.
Mayor Kane. That should have been a gimmick. Dentist Kane, the devil's favorite demon Kane, corporate Kane, Mayor Kane.
And to live in Tennessee, in Knoxville, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, yeah, that sort of tribalism is human nature. Humans are very tribalistic, but a lot of people are. They like to insert it where it's not needed. I remember being at school There were the Sega kids and the Nintendo kids, WWE, WCW. But now, and I try to remind myself that some of these people online, they have to be young people. But some of them aren't young people, and they're adults. And like I said, that some people like to make hating something their entire identity. And I'm finding it all pretty exhausting. Personally.
It is. It is. And I think that's the goal.
To wear us all down.
Correct.
What? Until we leave social media or Twitter or X
or they can harm whatever company they want to harm. You know, it's funny. I get money from Tony Khan, and if I knew how, I would, but I don't. I keep asking if anybody knows.
Well, I'd like to say that I believe you, Jim, but Tony Khan is single-handedly keeping you in WrestleFest arcade cabinets, and I won't hear any different.
Yes.
We did The Simpsons. Do you have The Simpsons as well?
It's the same machine. They just plug in a different jam of.
Amazing, though. That's great. We did The Simpsons arcade game the other day. But
my point was this: say, I have kind of a nuanced position with the McMahon documentary coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I am not yet convinced that Vince McMahon did everything he allegedly did on his own without anybody else knowing but John Laurinaitis. I have a hard time believing that.
Me too.
Now, I'm not saying, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. I would like to be convinced by someone in the company to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. And they haven't. Now, I'm critical, or maybe have a raised eyebrow, whatever, of management. I have questions about management. However, I'm very complimentary of WWE talent, complimentary of the presentation. I am complimentary how the WWE universe, and those are the people who are, stand up for WWE, how satisfied they are with the product. You know, that's an amazing thing for a company to have.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, obviously I'm critical of Vince, and I have questions about management and the company in general.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's fair. But
it's more than fair.
Because I have questions, I hate WWE. I don't.
Nuance seems to be completely lost online, and as I said before we went live properly, I think sometimes, you know, text can be read 1,000 different ways, but I think a lot of these people are deliberately missing when something is said in jest, as a joke, as tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, I'm...
And also, you know, there are studies that say, 40% of adult Americans are illiterate, which is...
What?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, it's a big country. That's really.
It's disappointing. Hang on.
Wow. And I'm so happy that WWE, because there are many times over the last 20 years when I've had to stop watching WWE.
Sorry.
Go
21%.
That's still
21% are functionally illiterate, and 54%. This is where I got wrong. 54% have literacy below a 6th grade level. And that's Tamika Nagapromo. That's right there.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that there's some people who don't understand initially, you know, need to dumb things down, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah. I think that at the end of this podcast, the conclusion will probably be, well, I think the sanest thing to do is to get off social media, Twitter/X specifically. But like I said to you again before we went live, damn it, I really liked Twitter anyway. And I'm very happy that WWE's product is as great as it is, because I want to, like Brian Alvarez one time said, he wants, I think it may have been a specific TNA rant, but he wants it to be good because he has to watch it, would prefer to enjoy it, and he makes a lot more money when wrestling is doing well. But yeah, especially the phrase "stand up for WWE," they've been the market leader for how long? They're not an underdog little company that could.
Well, you talk about people want WWE to succeed. When Vince left, and you had coherent storylines, the beginning, middle, and end.
Michael Cole sounds like a human now.
Right, poor Michael Cole. I've always defended Michael Cole. All these things, obviously the engagement, the ratings, everything increased greatly. Fans all over the world wanted that. And we're seeing that now, just how badly they want it.
Oh. And I too worry that, the documentary's hitting on the 25th, but the company's very, very quiet about it. Not that they would want to go around necessarily trumpeting it, but obviously questions at these press conferences shut down. And I've always believed that wrestling fans had a longer term memory than we were given credit for, but the type of people who call Tony Khan all these terrible things, very insulting, whilst standing up for WWE. TK versus Vince. Tony Khan seems like a normal guy that I'd love to have a drink with.
Right.
And if I saw Vince, I'd certainly cross over to the other side of the road.
Right, yeah, until, the only thing that's come out about Tony Khan is that he's too nice.
Yeah.
So until something else comes, unless something else comes out, that's all we can go on. You can say, and that's kind of funny too, where being too nice and managing wrestlers in a modern way, not through fear, that's bad. And wrestlers are having trouble adapting. And rather than, to me, I'd rather see where we can go as far as Tony Khan's strategy. Maybe over time, it'll be more like a proper business place and not something, you have to manage like cattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's a case of Vince, one extreme end, Tony, the other extreme end of just too damn nice. But being a boss is really tricky, because if I was a boss, I'd probably be too nice, probably too concerned about what people think of me, and to be an effective boss, sometimes you have to be a boss rather than people's friend. But I've got a lot of time for Tony Khan, and
I've experienced it where being nice to someone you manage doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be nice in return, work harder, or give you a favor or something.
It's like that a teacher, or maybe a substitute teacher,
right?
That exposes a weakness, and the students walk all over them for the next half an hour. My God, some of the teachers at my school.
There's a true story.
Go ahead.
I went and saw. I was at a what do they call it? A celebration of life for a friend of mine, dear family friend. She was in her 90s. She's a teacher who everybody loves and respects. And there was another teacher there who I had in 7th or 8th grade, I forget,
Mm-hmm.
middle school. And I was kind of funny and stuff. I wasn't a bad kid. I was a good student. But sometimes I'd make jokes and things
Me too.
when I should have been more serious. But it's not like I got detention or anything like that.
Yeah.
Either way, I went up to her and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have, buckled down in algebra class rather than, making the occasional joke or whatever. I should have taken it more seriously. And she was like, Jim, you were fine. She was like, oh my God. She went on a whole rant about
Nice.
kids.
Oh yeah. Well, with me, when I find out that someone's a nice person, a celebrity, a wrestler, whatever, it goes a long way with me.
Yeah. Here's so many terrible stories.
In wrestling, yeah. I mean, recently, I still am, a little bit dumbfounded when I think about what CM Punk said about the company publicly. It just kind of, I find it hard to believe, And I've been a fan of Punk's work, but it would be very clear that I wouldn't be friends with him in real life. And when you hear about someone being a very, very nice guy like Bryan Danielson, who doesn't like Bryan? That matters to me.
Yeah.
And I think.
Look, I just know Punk. I respect Punk. I'm not one of those people that worships him, but I also don't hate him. Again, that nuanced position, people think I hate him or something. I want him to find happiness. He seems like it's like you have your dream wife, you have your dream life, you have tons of money. As far as I know, you should be very, very happy, and I hope he is. Sometimes things just don't work out with people. And it just doesn't, I don't know, sometimes things just don't work out.
Now,
sometimes a couple will break up, and it doesn't mean necessarily one person is bad, one person is good. It's just the chemistry.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, how many of these people online do you think are bots? Because in one of in some of your mentions recently, I did see very similar messages,
right?
Multiple times.
Isn't it funny?
And when Tony started talking about, there's lots of anti-AEW bots, I was like, are there? But now I don't know what to believe. And Silent in the chat has brought something up to me, the theory of the internet being dead, in that whatever app or site you're going to now, the chances are quite likely you'll be exchanging messages with a bot AI. But like I said, the tragic thing is that some of the vitriol is very much coming from real people.
So funny how never had quite that response before, and then suddenly it's all flooded. It's funny. It's just weird. It's odd.
Well, do you think any of them are burner accounts for maybe WWE employees?
It's possible, yes, but I don't know. I haven't thought of that. So it's not me. I mean, in the scope of anything is possible, anything is possible. But I have not thought that. It hasn't crossed my mind.
Well, recently, it was revealed that Triple H allegedly, I haven't heard him say this himself, but he's apparently an avid scroller of Twitter/X during the shows, so he can get an idea on what people are thinking. So maybe he hopped on that burner account and said,
I wouldn't want to suggest that without any sort of evidence, but clearly I made somebody upset. And you'd think, I don't know, maybe paying people more, that would be something to get upset about, rather than the person who says, maybe you should pay people more.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Crazy talk, paying people more. How dare you?
Wacky, zany. It's, that's the thing. It's
You're
like
a commie, Jim Valley.
Tony Khan, yeah, because they tell people get paid more. That's what a communist does. I didn't say I wanted the money. It's like Tony Khan pays 50%, 50, whatever it is, of revenue. WWE is what, 10, 15%. Other sports leagues are higher.
Oh yeah.
Hell, movies are higher.
Well, the NXT.
WWE sports and entertainment.
Yeah, should be both. But the NXT wage of $25K.
Right.
In 2024, that's what's that going to get you? Nothing.
It's going to get you loyalty.
Oh yeah, we're paying you an experience.
Right.
It's one of those job roles.
Exactly what it is.
I've heard that before.
They have tons of money, and look, what we're seeing in UFC with they're using all of the their fighters from the Tough Enough stuff or whatever it is, and it's like all the star fight. They weed out the stars, and they just use the lower paid fighters. I don't know.
There's a similar thing going on in the video games industry at the moment, in that there's more money being brought in than ever before, but all of my friends are losing their jobs, and you're raised to think logically, and then the adult world doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes.
Right. If we benefit, you benefit. So that's what they always tell you, and that's not always the case. Very often, it's not the case. It's just like, look, I like capitalism, but it's like, do we have to squeeze every dime out of everything? You should share, more of the wealth so people can have nice lives, nice houses, nice schools,
It's a theory that the people on top not only want to make the money that they make, but they don't want you to make any money. And I can't make sense of that.
I don't know. How much more do you need? Is my question.
I don't know. I'd like a holiday a year, a few video games a year, and then honestly, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, people just want a nice life, and it's like we have enough. Working is important. People need to work when they can. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation, but I did, and I would if I could. But
now you spend all your time swimming around in the Scrooge McDuck gold vault paid for by AEW and Tony Khan, Jim.
I wish, man. But thing is people work hard for a living. It's like, you don't need to make work impossible. And also, someday these wrestlers taking all these bumps, at my, when you get to my age, 55 or so, you start needing more health care, and it just keeps ramping until they put you to the ground. But these wrestlers are going to need even more, generally speaking.
Oh yeah.
They're going, John Nord just did a GoFundMe.
Oh yeah.
For his knee or hip or for a joint replacement. It's like, well, if you gave these guys more money, then maybe they would have money for that knee replacement and have a comfortable life outside of wrestling. And look, John has a different situation. I'm not saying WWE necessarily should have paid him more, but I'm just saying an example of, you will need more health care in the wrestling field, and they will need to support themselves. And it'd be nice if they had that extra money to do that. That's important.
Well, especially with some of the crazy bumps that are being taken these days.
And people say, oh, it's not what you make, it's what you save. Yes, it is. And yes, you are responsible for yourself. But maybe you have a divorce or, whatever. You shouldn't be required to live this perfect life where you scrimp everything and live this perfect life where you didn't, go anywhere or do anything just to save on the other end. WWE can and should pay more. And that's the fact of it.
100%.
And look, and maybe I'm a bad person.
Terrible.
But
How dare you.
wanting people to get what they earn is not a bad thing. And the tribalists, look, someone explained it really well that I never grasped before. Is all those years, WWE had no real competition. TNA was an afterthought. WWE, was the only thing. So in the tribalist mind, they're moving into WWE's territory and violating their childhood and all those memories and all of these things. And I'd never really considered it that way. But look, because of AEW, Swerve is making more. Because of AEW, Edge, Adam Copeland, and Christian Cage will eventually do whatever they do and probably ride off into the sunset together. It gives people, new stars, Will Ospreay, new stars, money, and it gives other stars, Moxley, gives them, Bryan Danielson, options. It helps the industry. It gives tons of good paying jobs and talented people who would not be working in the industry or would be doing something else have good paying jobs because there's competition in wrestling.
And Bryan Danielson says it himself on television. AEW makes wrestling better. It's made his life better, and there are various factors, like you said, why WWE are on fire right now. No Vince being one, but AEW's presence being a big factor in that.
Look, there's nothing wrong with saying AEW making wrestling better is not a knock on WWE.
Absolutely not.
It keeps them on their toes.
Yeah. It's a good thing. Competition is a good thing, and
But
there's been none for 20 years.
WCW went away. No one said, "Oh, WWE got so much better," because it didn't. It was lazier. No, if you're a WWE fan, AEW is good for you as well, because it keeps them on their toes, keeps the creative juices flowing, keeps them looking over their shoulder.
Oh yeah.
No, keeps them bidding on talent, keeps them using talent in a viable way.
Yeah.
No, it makes wrestling better, and that's not an insult in any way to WWE.
And you could say even WrestleMania 17 was very, very soon after WWF bought WCW, and it again for various factors, it kind of started going downhill quick. And a lot of people I was at school at the time, a lot of my friends stopped watching wrestling. It went from everybody in the playground talking about wrestling to all of a sudden just me and my weirdo mates.
You're exactly right. No, a lot of people had said it peaked at WrestleMania 17. Now it's a common thing.
Part of this is the state of Twitter/X, and it's like I said, I was a huge fan. That was where I would go to get the news, the discourse about that news story. And now I fired up an old account that I hadn't been onto since Elon bought that platform, And on the For You tab, you get pushed this crazy, crazy stuff. Violent images, alt-right stuff, stuff that I have not indicated that I've wanted to see in the past using that account. And I think every corner of the internet, all different types of fandom, I think it's just become a lot more vitriolic. Specifically, maybe it was always there and I didn't see it because I'd cultivated my following list, right? But now you do see it, and if you compliment AEW, you'll get a lot of hate from strangers.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure. And look, I'm sure there's people listening saying, "Oh, there's AEW fans like that," and there probably are.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get attacked by them, so I couldn't say.
Yeah.
I am acknowledging that. But I mean, I honestly don't have any experience in that. But yeah, it gets tiresome.
Now, do you think either company are fueling this fire? Or is this just fans who want a cause, who want something to fight for when there's just good wrestling on both channels to enjoy? Is AEW and WWE, are they stoking these fires in any way, do you think?
Depends what you mean by stoking. I mean, clearly there are accounts that get the fast nationals when they reflect well on WWE and reflect poorly on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And those cost money. So so the feeling is that WWE is buying those and releasing those. I couldn't say that they are, but I have a hard time, if they're expensive, I have a hard time believing that these accounts are paid.
Also, Twitter being paywalled now, is these people. I'm gonna be polite. I'm gonna try and be professional because I'm in the presence of a professional right now, Jim. But they make money from this negative engagement.
Right. It's weird.
And that's always something to remember that sometimes I do forget when I see something and I'm like, what? And then you're like, hold on.
Right.
Hold on.
Well, and sometimes Tony Khan baits them. He baits those people, and his negative engagement gets whatever he wants, Dynamite or the pay-per-view or whatever, out there into the universe. So I think he sometimes tries to use negative engagement to get retweeted or whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that, yeah, that's a job.
Well, because I subconsciously I see the blue tick and I first of all think, oh, blue tick equals verified equals reasonable person. But then I have to remind myself, oh no, this is now paid for and they receive money through engagement. And hate generates those clicks these days, Jim. Or maybe
they don't
always.
But I hear it's not like that much money, is that right?
Maybe only the biggest trolls make anything substantial.
Which encourages it.
It can't be less than what Twitch pays you, trust me.
I don't know. As far as Twitter, it's very easy to blame the platform. I'm not saying the platform isn't to blame. But really, honestly, it's people. We're the ones doing it.
Oh no, once again, the problem was people.
We suck. Yeah, people suck. But I don't know. I just wish. Look, it's crazy to me. I understand if you're running for prime minister or House of Parliament
Thank
or
you, Jim,
president.
for the local references.
Of course, I understand, why that would be important enough to invoke all of these strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid wrestling.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes,
It's
indeed.
stupid wrestling. I mean, yes, Triple H and wrestlers, whomever, make millions off of it, but everybody else doesn't. What's the point? What's the point of all this? What do you want to accomplish?
Hmm.
What do you want to accomplish? Reinforce that people think wrestling fans are, mouth breathers? What do you want to read? What are you trying to reinforce and accomplish by invoking these strategies for something as ridiculous as a hobby?
And if I was Triple H, I would just put my feet up right now, because there's all these people on social media doing all of the marketing, all of the PR for them for free. Well, apart from the blue ticks, the minor engagement pay they get.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if they are or they aren't. I haven't looked into it. I don't really. It doesn't really matter either way. To me, it's like I just assume.
Yeah.
Everybody in every business does it.
Mm-hmm.
Just not to say that they are, or I have evidence that they are. It's part of life now.
A very, very exhausting part of life now.
I mean, everybody's got all the analytics. Everybody has all the numbers. Everybody looks at all the engagement and knows how to, influence it as best they can.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Now, Big Dave Meltzer. Where's the picture of Dave? There we go. There it is. I saw a comment about Dave the other day saying it's something akin to, I should have written it down, I should have screenshot it, but it was something like the biggest instigator of sowing discord in the wrestling community / AEW shill, and is the biggest contributor I should say, to the tribalism that we're talking about right now. Now, I listen to Dave. You know Dave.
I love Dave.
When he talks about AEW and WWE on Wrestling Observer Radio, he'll talk about things he likes on both sides. He seems like a very, very reasonable guy.
He is. He's super smart.
Do you think it's the way that he responds to some of these people on social media that has got, because there seems to be a really big contingent of people who are like, fuck Dave Meltzer, he's always wrong these days, AEW shill, something you may or may not be able to relate to. And, he's certainly a lot better than me at keeping, he completely unemotional, that says, I like this match, I didn't like this match. People are obviously very annoyed about the star rating system these days. And it's always just one guy's opinion, and you don't need to take it that seriously. But I think it's because he's been such a big voice in covering wrestling for so long. But it seems like a lot of people, I mean, are these just thousands of Jim Cornette burner accounts? I mean, because I
mean, Dave is Dave. He's the top of the heap. He's, the newsletter guy, and has been for 40 years or whatever it is.
Observe this, brother.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, when you're in that position, people are going to take shots at you. That's just the way it is. And look, I like Dave a lot. And I shouldn't, but I feel at times very protective of Dave because I like him so much. And I know how sincere he is when people call him a liar or whatever. And sure, Dave can make mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll admit to any mistakes he makes. But
Well, I feel the same way, and I don't even know him. I've just listened to thousands of hours of him and Brian.
no, I think it's just being in position
Mm.
of where he is. And also, as far as the star ratings, he's had 6 stars for like 30 years. The first one was
Yeah.
like 30 years ago. So that's not new. It's just new people who have just discovered it.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, he sees wrestling one way. Jim Cornette makes his money another way. So there's going to be a divergence there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Jim Cornette fans, or any fan of any, and it was like this with Rush Limbaugh or whomever, any fan of any podcaster or host, talk show host, you know, they kind of adapt that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of, so you have these little Jim Cornettes who want to do that.
Don't make them sound adorable now. These little Jim Cornettes running around.
Well, I think Dave has a point, but he wasn't specific though with who he was talking about, was he?
Well, if Dave was this biased guy that he's made out to be, I would have stopped listening to his show a long, long time ago.
It's people who don't read, like he says. It's also people who don't subscribe and take things out of context. You hear a sliver of something,
Mm-hmm.
and people set it up that way.
Outrage, and then there's outrage.
And then there's the outrage. It's like, again, I just tell myself, he's dealt with this for 30 years. He's dealt with this before you. He's dealt with this after you. He doesn't need me to.
Is Dave Meltzer going to outlive us all, Jim? He's
I
gonna
will
just
outlive me.
go
Yeah.
on forever and ever and ever.
Well, quite possibly. Dude is jacked.
Yeah. I don't. He's got a family. He does
Yeah.
the newsletter.
Right.
How does he fit everything in to one
So-
day?
When I went to Japan one time with him, his cousin, who sadly has passed away,
Oh no.
lovely woman, she was there. And she's smarter than he is. Dave Meltzer is not the smartest person in his family, which kind of blew me away.
Oh, God.
Yeah. His late cousin is really, she's like Mensa. My goodness gracious.
Do you think, not that either of us are going to sit here and presume to tell Dave Meltzer what to do.
Right.
Do you think? Do you think it would help if he didn't respond to as many of these people on X? Because again, I don't know how he fits everything in to his day.
There are some who would suggest that.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I can tell you. Like I said, I mean, there are some people who say he'd be better served to do that. I don't know enough to say. If I had a definite opinion, I could tell you without a doubt, one way or the other, I would tell you. But honestly, all the people take so many shots. Maybe you do need to defend yourself.
Yeah. Good point. And
I don't know.
you know, something may catch you at a bad mood, and you'd be like, shut up. But
And look, sometimes maybe it's best not to. Okay, but also, a lot of these people are not arguing in good faith.
yeah.
They pretend they are, but they're not.
And I think a lot of them are seeking to get a rise in a quote tweet out of Dave, perchance, maybe.
Now they're not arguing in good faith. You can, tell them facts, and they will just ignore them and keep coming. They're like locusts.
Or you can't win an
So,
argument with an idiot because...
yeah, it's just,
Well, I'm convinced this is why the Bucks get so much vitriolic hate, is because Dave champions them, and there's the people who don't. Well, and obviously Jim Cornette. Hey, I've enjoyed Jim Cornette's work many, many times. I think I love his bits on Dark Side of the Ring, for example.
Jim Cornette is a very smart man.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money in wrestling. He's a great promo. I think he's a great podcast host. He does all the things you need to do. He checks all the boxes as a great, compelling talk show host. Not talking about his opinions aside, just his mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
But look, the people that advertisers care about didn't grow up watching Howdy Doody or First Run Star Trek.
Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Or had a black and white TV.
Mm-hmm.
They have different memories and different experiences. And I found this a lot with baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, because I'm in the Seattle area, they did get into video games and Atari and things, and then they tapped out.
Mm-hmm.
But video games got faster with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Smash Brothers and this action and Spider-Man movies and Avengers. All of this action, it's faster.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling doesn't compete in a vacuum. Jim Cornette, God bless him, grew up in a different time. Yes, it's fast. And maybe it's just too fast for him. But for a kid who grew up on Smash Brothers or any other game or any other movie, what wrestling is doing is in line with other forms of pop culture entertainment.
That's such an amazing point, Jim. And this is why I tune in every Saturday, because there's things that I will never think of until someone like yourself, someone like Dave, brings it to my attention. And also with Jim Cornette, I worry that some of it is personal because of the Ring of Honor, his time at Ring of Honor with Kevin Steen, and
Right.
and sometimes we humans can hold a grudge longer than we should, and has Jim ever said, I see what Kevin's doing in WWE now, and he's doing great?
I think last time I remember, I haven't listened in a while, but that's not to do with anything. It's just haven't listened, period. There's no reason. Well, I remember him saying, like, Kevin is really talented, but he's a dick or something like that.
Seems really nice.
Something like that.
He seems like a really nice guy, does Kevin.
Yeah. I mean, just look at that guy. If you would have asked me, he's been in WWE 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
15 years ago. Go back in time, you ask me. I'm like, how is that guy going to make it in WWE?
Everyone was saying that.
Got a shirt on. His arms got no definition. Yeah, he's very talented, but how is he going to make it in WWE? He's like a cornerstone. I mean, he is, he and Samoa Joe are bulletproof as far as you can beat them 8 days till Sunday and still have them challenge for a world title at a pay-per-view. Yeah. And people go, yeah, he could win.
And Kevin did amazing under Vince as well. Yeah. Under Vince, not just now under the Paul era, the Uncle Paul era. Incredible stuff. His openings.
Vince can talk. He's smart.
Yeah.
No.
Funny.
And funny, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that goes a long way with me as well.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, Sami Zayn. Who would have guessed he'd do well?
Yeah. Oh man, and so well. And like I said, Kevin's first program on the main roster with Cena.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Oh gosh, great times.
All more power to that guy.
Yeah.
More power. I mean, talk about doing it your way. He did it his way.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta respect that.
Yeah, I would love to see Kevin have another, well, a proper run with that title. Yeah.
We're Dutch to Phil, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people though now in that top spot going for those two titles.
There's so much competition right up there at the very top.
Yeah.
In WWE, and then there's nothing else. But there's a lot of competition at the top.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all that matters.
Now, man, this Vince documentary.
Yeah.
Again, I saw when this was coming out. I was like, I can't wait to watch this and sink my teeth into it. And you tweeted out the Netflix documentary where WWE will be, and January was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that.
Movie tease. I did the tweet was in form of a movie trailer.
Right.
From the people who brought you out.
This summer.
Yeah, it was.
In a world.
Yeah, I did that. Did that gimmick. Where was it?
And Dave responded to you saying, because they interviewed him for it.
Dave did not like it. No. He wasn't happy. And that's fine.
Well, he was saying that, they interviewed him for it and he said, wait until it comes out. But it is a great point that Netflix is the platform that Vince's old company is going to in January.
Look, I'm going to Dave, and I'm sure Dave gave them a lot of great content. But, we don't know how far they're going to go with it because, and how far can they go with it?
Mm-hmm.
Netflix is going to be the home of Raw very soon.
Yeah.
You can't turn off their audience. That would be stupid. They're walking a tightrope here.
It's going to be.
Oh, here it is. It's from the app. Soon bringing you WWE Raw. He's the genius who brought you WWE Raw. Mr. McMahon, a nuanced story told by people mostly beholden to WWE.
Yeah.
And probably some stuff tacked on, but not so much that you won't watch Raw or hurt our investment. Rated NJG. No Janelle Grant.
Oh my God. I forgot about that last bit. Well, I'm sure we'll get some, but not everything. We won't.
Yeah, they'll do. They have to. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, but will we get the full expose of Vince? Yeah, probably. Almost certainly not.
The fact Pete Pharmacy doesn't want to give her medical records. Will we mention that in the documentary?
Oh my God.
Pete Pharmacy, because all of this was innocent. I don't know about you, but what unknown chemicals do you insist your betrothed get when you're in love with them?
All of them.
Yeah.
They deserve the best chemicals.
Yeah. Please, honey, I love you. Here. Oh, look. He loves me. He went to Peak. Oh.
Well, I mean, we should all be so lucky, No,
he's going to drag her through the mud. And there's going to be people who believe him, who say she got this and she got that. And yes, she did. But she was promised something. What she wanted was that VP title so she could put it on her resume and get out. And he kept dangling it. And here's a car instead. Here's a raise instead. We can't get you the full thing. It's too much right now. The eyes are on me. Anyway, but it's too much. So here's this. That's read. People have not read the complaint. Read the complaint.
It was the most shocking thing I've read outside of war crimes.
It's shocking. It's stunning. It's vulgar.
And it just brings us back around to the people, the vitriol that Tony Khan gets, and people seem to have forgotten the man who was running the other company until very, very recently. Very, very recently.
But it's gone. It's fine. He's gone now. Everything's fine. All the people that worked for Vince. It's like when the Wicked Witch is dead. Everybody's bright and shiny now.
Yeah.
It's totally.
Yeah.
That's what happens in real life.
Triple H didn't know anything.
Nobody knows anything about anybody.
While we're on that subject, do you think we'll see Brock Lesnar again? Are they waiting for the dust to settle? Well, which it may have settled if this documentary wasn't coming out.
You know what? Why not?
Yeah.
What's stop them?
I don't know. Maybe very little.
Vince is gone, so it's okay now. No, I don't know. Does Brock want to come back? Does Brock have to come back? Is he contractually obligated and they're going to make him? Or does he have a number in mind? He wants to make more money before he retires for good? Or has he made enough money and it's like, I don't want to risk people holding up signs and all that stuff, so I'm not going to bother. Maybe WWE would just let him out of his contract. I don't know. But those are really kind of the questions.
Again, they have so much talent right now that maybe if he was more needed, then we would say definitely he needs to come back because they desperately need him right now, but they don't need him right now. Talent-wise.
No, they don't need him. No, they're fine. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to say, let's just break off.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure Brock has saved a lot, especially with the
what would you think?
Yeah, the way he lives with just the simple pleasures in life, farm, family, and a phone 30 minutes away by car.
Right. Yeah, look, if he's got his money, why come back unless he wants to prove something? I'll show them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. If maybe he thinks, and I don't know any of this, maybe he thinks if he doesn't come back, it proves guilt of some kinds. If he comes back and says, I'm innocent, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. I have no idea what he does.
That's all we can do.
What he's going to do. But I will. He's high-paid talent. TKO, if you look at UFC, getting rid of a lot of high-paid talent.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So maybe they do get rid of Brock. They have a lot of talent. So do they need that on their books?
Maybe not. And Jim, just before we get out of here, go on.
Just go to Saudi Arabia too. Just go to Saudi Arabia. Go work there.
Is Punk going to wrestle in Saudi, do you think?
No idea. But that's what I don't get too. Vince, according to Meltzer, wants to come back and do something in business, not wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Go do something with Saudi Arabia right now. There's literally, they won't care.
Open arms is how he'll be welcomed in Saudi Arabia.
So let's go. Go do it. I don't know what's stopping you. Same thing with Brock, could you put him in Saudi Arabia, there'll be no signs. He'll be cheered or booed, whether he's a heel or a face.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe then he's done. I don't know.
Well, now, before we get out of here today, Jim, after Who Killed WCW aired, you said that the Dark Side of the Ring guys, that's their credibility gone after those 4 or 5, how many episodes that led to no answer over who killed WCW.
It's funny. Well, it's just funny. Is there any wrestlers historically, when you're looking at Dark Side of the Ring, stories to do? Is there anybody, sadly though, it's no longer with us, but maybe would be a topic for a Dark Side? Is there anybody think of this? Because I can't think of any. Anyway, there's no one else I can think of. Everything's fine. But I think it's great for them to be working with Dwayne. I think it's great. They got a big time producer doing stuff with them. I think it's fabulous. So I think it adds, to their production company, it adds tons of credibility. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
They'll probably do many more projects.
Well, there's more Dark Side coming, but yeah, it was that WCW program was quite a waste of time.
It was a waste of time. And not only that, I don't know, I feel that there's a very obvious Dark Side that's out there that will never be done. And that's fine.
Yeah. Well, never say never in wrestling, but you're probably correct about this one.
Never be done. And that's fine. You do what you got to do. It's very smart.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For sure. Speaking of very smart.
That's the way business is done. Seriously. Yeah. Literally. So, it's fine. There's no law that says you have to do anything.
That's true. And that said, you still took the time to come on this podcast today, Jim. Thank you so much for doing that. Have you got some plugs? How can people reach you?
I'm on Saturday. Wrestling Observer Live. It's on Sports Byline and Sirius XM and Armed Forces and online. Also, you get it if you're a subscriber. Commercial free to the Observer. I'm at Jim Valley on Twitter for now. And then on Threads, Jim_Valley on Threads and Instagram.
Are you using Threads a lot these days?
I haven't. I probably should, right?
Yeah, Lance fully switched to Threads.
Yeah, he's a smart man. Probably take his. No, it's a pleasure having you on. The Saturday show is, I try to keep it topical, try to keep it fun, and just, got to talk about SmackDown, got to talk about Rampage, and then this week, I've got to talk about Collision. Collision is on Friday.
Yeah, All Out Saturday.
My God, I've got to, and then All Out. Everything is piled on when I started, like 5 years ago, it's just me talking.
Yeah, Brian knew what he was doing giving you that Saturday show. He foresaw all of this.
I know, he did. That's what I think. I think he's paying people to put everything on Saturdays. He doesn't have to do it. I don't mind doing it, it's just that it's all at once.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 5 hours to watch. Plus, I'm up at like 6 because I got to write out and plan out the show. It takes time to.
Well, you covered for the very handsome and talented Andrew Zarian the other day. I'm sure he'll jump in for you on a Saturday one day if needed.
No, that was hard too because that was last minute.
You smashed it, Jim. You smashed it.
Did I?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
great stuff,
I
man.
used-
Like I said, I'm biased, but I'm an avid listener of
Because it was
Wrestling
really
Observer
put
Live on a Saturday.
covering everything. Because there's a lot of news on that.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was great, dude. I had a great time. You do good work, and yeah,
I try.
you can check out Wrestling Observer Live on Saturdays on Jim's YouTube channel. I'll point at him. There we go, that way.
There we go.
Jim Valley Wrestling on YouTube.
I think it's just Jim Valley, I think.
Yeah, and you'll find it. But Jim, what a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much, dude.
How people in the chat liked it.
Oh yeah, man.
And
Lots of comments while we've been chatting along, and I need to podcast more so I can talk to who I'm talking to and also engage with the comments. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of thank you, Jims, and and a big thanks from me for your time this evening, dude. And I very much look forward to the next Wrestling Observer Live on Saturday. The best day.
whatever, so we can do this. Talk about anything. Take questions. Anything you want.
Jim, that's
My pleasure.
I'm so flattered, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope I haven't bugged you with.
I'll get my kidney. I'll come to London. We'll have high tea.
Yeah, dude. Sounds good to me.
All right.
All right, man. Well, take care, and thanks to everybody for watching and listening. And until next time, don't forget to hook the leg.